shit, there's fires, and everyone's talking about no shades, you know what I'm saying? Because we bought, what have we bought for the washing machine? Yeah, it's like, eBucks is like an emergency fund. Yes. And it's something that breaks into yeah. It's like those batch purchases that you think, oh, yeah, it's got it free. Yeah. My husband's now, okay, so now he's now gone for private banking and stuff, and now he's got this whole thing, because they changed all the eBucks, you know, and he's got this whole thing. What is it? I don't really understand. Really? Yeah. And I must tell you, fine. So that's getting complex. So now he's got to get some level. Which is not very important. Rewards calculator is going to help you super much. And a calculator, you literally, it is so beautiful. You literally just put in what you, that kind of really. Okay, so because he's got this whole time. He's going to go in the country well. I'm going to the lighter thing.
We all drove the same road.
Thanks so much.
Me too. And then I was paying for it, but it took me 2 months to get back to it again.
He's like, we're trying to explain all this to me.
Yeah. And I used to tell people about the call center, and now I'm talking through it. The calculator is what the person uses, but it's
Good. We just say next time. Actually, but it's nice to see you.
It is nice.
Next time we can just send you a very breakfast hamper on your desk, and you hang out and Google and we go. Because it's not office.
You know, I think most of the time, that is actually what I never really come to the presentation. You end up doing it all. But some also, you actually want to sometimes see people there. So,
we have some people we don't see. It's better to
it's funny, it's no, from my point of view, one of the big negatives of living in Cape Town and Johannesburg is you don't have that more in the contact. So you know.
So, Julian, give me the.
Okay. We're live. Right, ladies and gentlemen, a very, very good morning to you. Welcome to Slow in the City. For those of you who are joining us on the live hangout, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us. And apologies you couldn't be here with us, but you know, load shedding is a reality in the city that we're living in at the moment, and traffic is absolutely hazardous. But it's good to see that FNB is being proactive and thinking about greener solutions and alternative solutions to bring you this important announcement today, because it certainly is a historic one. I know what it's all about, so I'm not going to break the I'm not going to say anything yet because I'm very excited about it. I'm so tempted to say, yes, this is what it is. But it's really very, very exciting. And I certainly have been proud to be part of this journey as an FNB client and as an eBucks client over the years. But I'm not going to say too much. We'll give you the chance to ask the questions. And if you're joining us on the Hangout as well, remember, you can ask questions. We will get those questions coming through. And members of the media that are joining us here today, welcome to you as well. Thank you for braving the traffic this morning. I see some of you have had about 3 cups of coffee, which is understandable based on the traffic that you've experienced this morning. But without any further ado, I want to introduce the head of FNB, Mr. Jacques Cilliers, who's the CEO of FNB, a man who's been with the company for a long time, who's been very passionate about this rewards program. So Jacques, come and join me on stage. Good morning, Jacques.
Good morning. Thank you very much, all. And as Aki said, really appreciate you bracing the traffic. I don't know where you are at the moment, but for us, a very exciting morning. So really appreciate the time you've taken to come and join. And thank you, Aki, for trying to steer the agenda for us today. So in a time when I think, you know, everything gets challenged a little bit from time to time, and more recently you would have seen the pressure on the statutes in, you know, across our country. You know, so in reflecting on those, we sort of, you know, I sent out a tweet a few weeks ago where I said, I think we recognize that we all get tested, you know, in time, and we all get criticized or critiqued. And you are privileged when you're around when you get, you know, measured or critiqued. But mostly, people will reflect on us long after we've gone and when we're not around anymore to defend ourselves. And I think business is exactly the same. In a time where there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of things launched every day, lots of new disruptors come and, and go, and companies start up and close. It is equally refreshing to every now and again just reflect on those things that have stood the test of time. And I'm very proud of the fact that we are able to stand here today and just reflect a little bit on how far we've come with this business called eBucks that we're so special and privileged to be part of. Now, to be around and to stand the test of time, clearly you have to be incredibly innovative. And you have to be incredibly responsive to the game, especially when you're in the disruptive spaces, because it's not as though everyone out there will let you win and let you. So the game is really tough, and we've come a long way with this program today. Now, this has allowed us as FNB clearly to disrupt the market nicely. It has allowed us to rethink how we do banking. I don't think there's any business unit inside our bank, and those are big business units, more stable ones as well as the newer ones, the recently introduced ones, where we don't have an incredible mix of talented people that reflect on how we can actually do things differently. We're just not a normal bank with a bank account and an ATM in the street. Life has just become so much more exciting and innovative for us, especially now we use technology and analytics and around this consumerism, if we can call it that. We've even introduced it into we call it businessism, where we recognize that people between their personal lives and their business lives actually is just, besides the fact that we must make banking, our traditional banking, just so much more integrated, while how we handle and how we deal with the rewards component of banking clearly has also been very disruptive and very beneficial for us, and how we've used it. Very few things prove how much commitment you put into something than the amount of money you invest in it. And the amount of time you invest in it. So for us at FNB and Private Bank and RMB, we have over the last few years proven just how much investment and time we've given to this, not only in the people and the systems that we built up and we create, but more importantly in the generosity and the experience the customers get out of us. So now you can't celebrate things where people don't really feel this is something that moves their needle, right? And their needle moving is really, for us, it's about how we stretch that cash flow and how we make people's lives just so much more richer and so much more fun. And that spans everything from trying to buy yourself a little bit of a treat somewhere every now and again with what we give you back, as well as what we reflect on is that stretching that budget. The month-end budgets when you need to buy a shopping basket with some food. So we stretch it from both sides. We get a free tank of fuel. So we see this as a big part of people's lives, not as a separate thing that stands out there that every now and again go into, but something that you can actually experience on a daily basis. This is not a rewards program that you have to wait 3 years for to get something out, or some things that you sort of stretch yourselves and forever and you get nothing out. This is a really, really powerful daily activity and a daily part of everyone's lives, which we think is powerful. What is also nice is the way in which we've come to where we are today, and this is not something that's finished at FNB. So sometimes you get an initiative that you think, okay, now this has run its course. So where to from here? And so hopefully you'll also see as we mature this even further into our business, not only into the existing lines of business, which are clearly very mature, and how we tweak those, but also into the other parts of FNB across the segments and product lines. Whether it's transact, credit, investments, or insurances, all of those offerings that we put across financial services really into our client bases have got opportunities to leverage a program like this. Now, what makes it possible is, in the end, not us, not our brand, not our systems, not our IT, but our customers. Because the generosity that we will be celebrating today, and I don't want to steal Yolandi's thunder, you'll recognize that if it wasn't for customers actually, getting with the program, if we can call it that, if it wasn't for customers banking efficiently, if it wasn't for customers giving us the right banking behavior to make us an efficient and a profitable business, we wouldn't be able to celebrate these things that we do today. So today is much more of a celebration not only of us, but also on the amazing client bases that support us as a business across all the segments and territories which we operate. So huge opportunities for us. We celebrate this internally, clearly very excited, and Yolandi will take you through some of the detail. But I appreciate you all being here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jacques Cilliers, CEO of FNB. But let's take a look at the journey. Have a look at this visual. I think that deserves a round of applause. Those numbers are insane. And when you look at that graphic going through, and you go, I remember I bought that. You've been around for a long time. In fact, I've been an eBucks customer since it was launched, when the cards were bright green. Remember, they were that color. And there was no E in the bucks when I started at eBucks, but that was a long time ago. But anyway, what a phenomenal program, and it's been great to be part of the journey. And wow, it's amazing. 5 billion rand. But I'm not going to steal Yolandi's thunder, because the CEO of eBucks is Yolandi Duvenage, and she will tell you about the journey, what's new, what's around the corner. It's 15 years now, but what's next for eBucks? Please welcome Yolandi, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Aki. And I think just also from my side, a warm welcome to all of you, whether you're here in person and you've braved the traffic, or whether you're joining us on the Hangout. We really, really appreciate you being here today. Now, in a period of nearly 15 years, the bank has allocated 50 billion eBucks. 50 billion eBucks. That is 5 billion rand. As part of the founding team a decade and a half ago, we set a really ambitious target for ourselves. We wanted to create something that was very special to our customers, something that would really make a difference in people's lives. I think it was really important for us not to create just another nice to have, not something that we would use from time to time when the moment occurs and you may remember about it. We wanted a rewards program where we were as front of mind as the use of your RMB private bank or FNB card. And I think the really important bit for us was as well to ensure that we develop a program that would stretch across our FNB base, be it our smart account holders all the way through to our wealth customers and even our business customers. And I'm absolutely blown away and humbled at the same time with achieving this milestone today, because our members have really shown us that we've achieved just that, a program that is relevant across the member base. Not only have they earned 5 billion rand in eBucks, but more importantly, our members are also spending these eBucks. At last count of the 5 billion rand, our members have spent nearly 4.2 billion rand. And if we look at their current spending behavior and how I know many of you, including Aki and myself, are enjoying spending these eBucks, we will be achieving this 5 billion rand eBucks spend milestone pretty soon. And the lion's share of this 5 billion rand in eBucks have obviously been allocated by the bank. So I have to say, thank you very much, Jock. In our world, one of the measurements that really matter is what we term our spend to earn ratio. Now, this for us is a very good indication whether members really spend a substantial amount of their eBucks and whether they do it fast enough. Now, if you look at developed countries, this so-called spend-to-earn ratio would typically sit between 60 and 70%. And in the case of eBucks, over the past decade, our spend-to-earn ratio has always been in excess of 80%, which shows us the true value that this program has for its members and just to what extent they are engaged with the programs. Because it never makes sense for a program to only allocate their rewards points if people don't redeem those points and see the true value from it. Now, another benchmark in our world is also to try and see how quickly we achieve our relevant milestones. Are we relevant to an ever-increasing member base or not? And do they really take the time to understand how they can optimize the earning of the rewards? I think we've worked really hard over the last couple of years to ensure that both the program structure and our catalogue of partners are really relevant to our members. And I think even more so, Jock also referred to the tough economic climate that we are in. I think we spend a lot of time to make sure that the partners we chose really sits comfortably in that sphere of supporting this very tough economic climate. And remember, this ultimately does mean different things for different people. at different times of the year. You know, come end of Jan, we're all there. We know how tough things are. And your eBucks is quite often that thing that helps you being able to put that extra loaf of bread in your basket, or to be able to buy that airtime a week before payday arrives. But then, as we get to the end of the year, our eBucks typically helps in that festive season when you want to buy that really special present for that little loved one in your life, or when you want to buy that flight to go and see your loved ones, or whether you just feel this is the time of year where I really want to spoil myself with one of the latest and greatest gadgets. Now, we've covered all the earn milestones in the video clip, but I do want to call this out. Do you know that it took us 7 years on the program to achieve the first billion in earn allocations, but it took us less than a year to achieve the fifth, the one that we're celebrating here today. Now, similarly, from a spend perspective, the first billion in eBucks spend took us 9 years to achieve. But the fourth billion was spent in just over a year. So I think you can see from this, the momentum on the program is really just phenomenal. You know, and often Jacques and I would sit and smile because being founding members of the program, you think back at all those early days where you just had to convince people of the concept of a rewards program. You know, where these days a lot of people are in the market for it, and there's obviously a lot more momentum. So what have our members actually bought? Again, you've seen in the video clip some of the really big numbers, but let's pull it a little bit closer to today, just to show you how relevant the program is in members' lives. Do you know that on average, we fill 30 Kalula planes every month? And remember, we also sell other airline brands, but this is obviously the one that we've partnered with. Last festive season, members have spent over 300 million rands worth of eBucks, be it on everyday spend opportunities or that special treat over festive season. During December and January, our members put 30,000 tanks of fuel out there into their tanks through engine. It was December and January, yeah. We filled up 30,000 tanks. Now again, you know, for many of us, that would just be a really cool number to tweet. But I think for me, what makes this number really special is we've put 30,000 people in a position to go and travel to loved ones and create those very, very special memories. Or alternatively, to take the money that they would have spent on fuel, and now they can spend it on an everyday necessity they wouldn't have been able to afford otherwise, or something that is really a special treat over that time of the year. To date, we've sold 3,800 PVRs in the eBucks shop. That is basically a PVR per day, 10 years straight. Really cool, hey? And then last year, we have launched the iTunes voucher in the eBucks shop. And in just 10 months, we've sold 1 million iTunes paid for in eBucks. So you can see it's all real everyday needs, and here and there some treats. People are really actively engaging and actively using the program. So the obvious question would be, what are we going to continue doing to ensure that we create a really meaningful program for our members and really continue making a real difference in their lives? I think, firstly, we don't hide from the fact that we create a rewards program that is there to be a win-win solution for the bank, for our members, and for our catalogue of partners. And this, for us, is absolutely vital to ensure that the program remains sustainable. We know that members want eBucks to be around for many years to come. The really interesting thing for me is always that the things that are good for the bank and the things that we use in terms of our rules are also often the things that are really good for our members. Think about it. If you withdraw your cash at till on a Saturday when you are doing your grocery shopping in any case, it means you don't have to go to the ATM, which is beneficial to us as a bank, but also convenient to you as a customer. In the same breath, if you receive your statements electronically and not via mail. This is, again, really convenient to you as a customer, and in the same way, I think we're serving Mother Earth in a much better way. Now, this whole line of convenience we've also pulled through when it comes to our earn and spend partners. Being a multi-program, you are obviously in a position to earn from more than one place. And again, this means that customers don't really need to go out of their way to benefit from the program. For instance, you can get up to 15% back in eBucks if you shop your groceries from a Shoprite Checkers, when you put in fuel at any fuel station, or when you buy your prepaid electricity or airtime through the bank's electronic channels. Now, these are behaviors that you and I need to do on a day-to-day basis or on a frequent basis in any case. So what's next? I think Jacques have given a very good indication that, from the bank's perspective, we are forever looking for new relevant earn opportunities for our members, and we are definitely looking at expanding eBucks deeper into the group. At the same breath, you'll also see an increased footprint, okay, you're going to enjoy this one, on the FNB app in terms of the eBucks program. We are realizing that more and more customers are making use of these new alternate channels, and again, we believe this is a very convenient way we can serve our customers. And then, being at the bottom of Africa, we definitely are also going to be expanding into Africa, which again serves the whole strategy in terms of where the bank is going. And again, I think everything dovetails really, really nicely. So what about the next billion? I think true to FNB and eBucks style, we have definitely set the bar high. So I have to say, tongue in the cheek, Jacques, keep your checkbook ready. It may come sooner than what you anticipate. And as a last word from my side, thank you so much for joining us here today. And I don't have a glass of champagne in my hand, but may I say, here's to the next 5 billion rand. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yolandi, and thanks, Jacques. You guys aren't escaping so quickly because we've got members of the media here who want to ask some questions as well. But what an amazing, amazing milestone. And I tweeted this just now about the results, and people are saying all sorts of things. Saskia says, no better reason for take-a-lot shopping sprees. Samu Afrikanda on Twitter says he buys groceries, petrol, airtime, banking with FNB since '97. There is no better bank. So nice testimonials coming through. Mistress of Spice says, thank you, FNB. I get about 350 Rand back every month. Happy birthday. And Kazi GA on Twitter says he spends most of his eBucks mainly on fuel. So certainly quite an amazing reward scheme. And I'm not ashamed to say this. I've been with the scheme for a long time, but we've all been through tough economic times in my life. And I remember, like many years ago, like 10, 12 years ago, I was in deep trouble. I actually used my eBucks for fuel, to keep me going. And I mean, it was really helpful. And thank you very much for that, helping me out 12, 15 years ago. So with that, I'm going to open the floor to questions. If you're watching us on that live stream on the Google Hangout, fire those questions away. If you've got any questions for Jacques or Yolandi, please do so right now. I'm looking around the room. I see we've got a couple of journalists who want to ask those questions. But Jacques, there's no pressure on you. Hey? I mean, Yolandi did say, get your checkbook out ready, but can you believe the speed? Hang on a second. Let me take this microphone over here. I do apologize for that.
It's new to stage performance.
Yeah. I mean, Jacques, can you believe the speed to which this has just been accelerated? And can you make a prediction on the next 5 billion, when that's going to come? Because I think what Yolandi was saying, 1 billion last time, so it's does it put a lot of pressure on you?
Yeah. I think I said it. Look, firstly, we like parties, so we like celebrations. So we would like to achieve it very quickly. But I think the message really is, as I said in the discussion, is that this is not possible if we don't have the economic drivers in our business that we can use to afford this, right? Otherwise, we will just work ourselves out of a business. And the drivers really relate to that more efficient, more profitable banking, behavior of our customers. So, as you think about it, if we had an entire client base that still did not use online banking but wanted us to put branches in every street, do you think about the cost base we would have had to incur as a business to be able to supply their customer base, because clearly we're not in the business of doing things our customers don't use or don't want. So things like more efficient banking behavior, things like better looking after your financial affairs and not having, bad debts in our system, things like taking on alternative products from us and giving us main bank experiences and main bank benefits through product utilization makes us more profitable, makes us more efficient, and allows us to thank our customers for that behavior. But clearly, there's also another stakeholder in our life, and that's our shareholders. And so our shareholders wouldn't be happy if we celebrate things that don't give them the benefit either. So at the moment, as Yolandi said, this is an absolute win-win for all of us. It's deeply entrenched in our business. It's not a non-core activity. You often think about businesses got a non-core thing, so when times get tough, they can stop it, right? So let's say, there's something, as Yolandi said, times are tough. Let's start cutting costs, let's start stopping things that we don't need. This absolutely is not one of those. And the faster we can celebrate these sort of milestones, they're absolutely aligned to our business, and we're very, very supportive. Thank you.
Now, Yolandi, I'm seeing on Twitter over here, and if there are any questions, please ask them. I see somebody said, I tweeted about the different partners, and Pilani says, please can you tell FNB to get more spending partners? So what's the plan with those spending partners? You've got such a great range from macro to checkers, as you mentioned. If you want to, you can buy literally anything using your eBucks, but what about future partners?
Thanks, Aki. I think you're quite right. Our whole drive is to say, welcome, Arthur. Our whole drive is to say we acknowledge that we want to give a really wide variety. That variety for us doesn't always sit in the retail partners per se, although they play a very critical part in our basket. But if you think about it today, you've got the eBucks shop, you've got the whole travel offering, you've got retail partners, you've got online partners, you've got the ability to spend on mobile. So as it is today, you could most probably cover most bases. But yet again, we are always actively and carefully considering what would be relevant retail partners. Again, we are never chasing a target in terms of how many partners we could add, but we are really looking at what would be relevant partners to add and really build very strong partnerships with them over time, which again talk to the whole win-win relationship that Jacques been referring to. So watch this space. We are definitely bringing on more. I think Nikki is sitting there at the back smiling, and their team are actively negotiating as we speak.
Yeah, so we've got a question from Maya. Hello, Maya.
Hi. One of the decisions ABSA took was to move away from the kind of you spend your, they give cash, and they're making this quite a big differentiator to eBucks. They're saying, well, we're actually giving you cash. You don't have to earn points. There's no, I need this many points, that many points. Just get cash at the end of the month. What is your reaction to that? Why has eBucks gone with points and partners, etc., and apps now?
All right. So I think, Maya, thank you very much. Good question. I think from our side, we believe that allocating the currency is way more powerful. And for the very, very simple reason that the buying power of this eBuck is not only in terms of what you are being allocated. It's not only about earning up to 15% out of Shoprite Checkers or on airtime or fuel. It's also the fact that that same eBuck can end up buying you a 40% discount. So if all of a sudden I can use that same currency and buy more with it. So if I'm in a position, let's make it practical, if I earn 15% at Shoprite Checkers and I take those eBucks and I go and spend it on a 40% discount at a Shoprite Checkers voucher, I in effect get 20%, 25% back. 25% back. That's how powerful that currency becomes. And I think that is exactly the reason why we personally don't believe that a cashback is the way to go.
So it's more bang for your buck.
So I just want to make the point, eBucks is effectively cash. So we're both giving cash back. All programs give you something back. So ours effectively is cash. We just stretch your cash so much far through partnership arrangements and demand aggregation, things like that, which a program that you just get cash back doesn't give you. So it's just in quantum, it's just such more generous, so much more generally relevant.
Is a simpler reward program because of that?
Absolutely. So that's a different challenge we have, and that is clearly because you always have these three components of the programs you must get right. Firstly, you must get it relevant. So we always challenge ourselves, as Yolandi said, what are we offering? The second piece of it is how generous do we make it, so we'll give something back. And the third one is how simple do we make it. And so we've been challenged over 15 years to work on that simplicity piece. How do we keep it simple? How do we explain it better? And how do we make those levers more relevant and understandable for everyone across our segment? So that will always be the challenge, and I don't think any program is different.
And anybody who is an eBucks customer, I discovered this yesterday. We were talking about this with Maya. There's a great calculator there that you can actually, put in your spend every month, and you can find ways. It helps you understand better how to get to that premium, area. What's it, diamond, I think, or platinum? What is it? Level 5. So I'm on level 3. So it's my mission to get to level 5. But just out of interest, out of all those levels, 5 down to 1, is there a breakdown of who's who and what percentage is who in those levels? How many members, eBucks members, are on that level 5? Or what's the average? Is everybody mostly on level 3?
Okay, so that's obviously not a number that we communicate, but we see really many of our customers that are sitting on the upper levels and that are really actively engaging to see how they can move up. And you're quite right, we don't try and make moving up the levels the best kept secret in South Africa. We've actually said we put a scoreboard out there that Aki can go in and see exactly what his profile is looking like. And we help him actively to understand by engaging in the following behaviors, you can move up the levels. In the same breath, we also make sure that you've got a calculator. If you're a non-banked customer with us or a current banked customer with us, we pull your individual profile and you can see again, by doing this behavior and that behavior, it would give me so many points and it will move me up to the next level. So it's very, very transparent.
Looking around the room, if there are any other questions, we've got one at the back. We've got one from Twitter, yeah?
We've got Gareth from Sale on the hangout from News24.
Oh, hello, Gareth.
Jacques is asking in which other African countries is... Oh, he is not.
Oh, we can hear him.
On which other African countries are eBucks currently present, and at which additional countries will eBucks be rolled out to?
Right, into the African continent.
Yep. All right, so our expansion into Africa is quite an exciting thing for us as a FNB. So when you look at expansion, you always talk about, first we have to create a regulatory framework that we can go to. So we set up FNB and our licenses there, and then we start adding our value propositions to that as we build. We've got 3 types of countries. We've got countries where we've been for a long time. So Namibia, for example, we've been for 100 years. Then we've got countries that are emerging. We've been there for like 10, 15 years. And then we've got some startup countries. Ghana is the one that we recently announced that we went to. Now, all of those we're extending our value propositions and specifically how we look at things called rewards and incentivizing customers for appropriate behavior. But we have not yet switched on the eBucks platform itself in that. So the concept of generosity and loyalty and incentivizing behavior through our programs and our analytics and our technology and our business models are absolutely relevant in those markets already through different ways, because clearly, the eBucks platform does take a bit more time to get and launched in. But we're excited about what the opportunity now is to extend that into that markets or those markets. So look out for this space. Watch the space. We'll probably be announcing those very soonly. So that's a challenge for the eBucks team actually, as to how fast they can get themselves out there.
Yeah, thanks, Jacques. So Yolandi, who's the biggest spender? What's been the biggest transaction? You shared some of the milestones, 5 billion rands paid out over the last 15 years. But, we talk about transactions like fuel and that, but right at the top, can you share with us some of that interesting information?
Okay, so our top spenders are definitely in the space of travel. These guys fork out literally hundreds of thousands for their travel journeys. And the really cool thing is, obviously, if you have saved your eBucks, but you still don't have enough, you can part pay. So you can also use your eBucks and then swipe your FNB card for the rest of the transaction. And customers love it, because it all of a sudden means I don't need to wait until I've got the ultimate amount before I can benefit from the program.
So it's what you were telling me the other day, something like 100,000 rand was one transaction. Somebody used 100,000 rands worth of eBucks that they've obviously saved up over time. And Arthur, where did you go with that cash in that you made? I'm joking. Arthur Goldstock, good morning. Nice to have you with us this morning. But that's serious. Oh, you went to Bloemfontein for the weekend. Very nice. But it's nice that you can save them and use them whenever you like. I'm looking around the room. If there aren't, Maya, you've got another question. We've got 2 more questions. Yeah, Maya?
Question on for Cluna, for example. So you've got your Cluna card, which also gets you rewards program. So how do you use your FNB card plus your Kalula card plus your eBucks, or is it not have to be an either?
So in the case of Kalula, they obviously have separate drivers and they are on their own. But in the case of eBucks, you swipe your FNB card and you'll be earning on the transaction. A very good example of where you are triple dipping is Dis-Chem. So if I go into a Dis-Chem and I swipe my FNB card, I'll be earning from the bank. At the same time, I'll also earn from Dis-Chem in eBucks. And if I take my Dis-Chem benefits card and I swipe that card, I'll be earning their loyalty currency. So in one single transaction, I got 3 opportunities to earn. So for me, I really don't get it when people don't enjoy these rewards programs. There is just so much value to be had if you play your cards right.
I just wish somebody works out some technology that you don't have to pull out all these cards. You go to Dis-Chem, one card. Where's my other card? Just one card. I wish that comes in. Jacques, please get your team to develop something like that. It exists, but really?
It is. It's wallets.
Oh, okay. No, sure.
Wallets on the card.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't use that at Dis-Chem.
No,
Yeah. Hey, can you? Well, learn something.
It's been there since
Oh.
2007.
Well, my official French you would know because you are an expert in this field. But it's great. I must say, I used my eBucks just recently to book some car hire in Cape Town. It was just really seamless. I was amazed. It was my first time just booking a car, and it worked really well. You have a question, sir?
Yes, my question is actually 2 questions. The first one is really in terms of spouses. Can spouses combine eBucks for a single transaction? If not, why? If they are linked and married? And both hold FNB accounts. The second one is really around your LSMs. Your eBucks program is very much focused on high LSM partners, it looks from the outset. And on the lower LSMs, people or the smart account holders seem to be relegated to just airtime. Travel partner, for example, high LSM, Kulula, etc., is for high LSM. What travel partners are you introducing for the lower LSMs? Because the lower LSM, someone with a smart account would rather use his eBucks for a taxi fare, if it was possible, as opposed to trying to catch a flight to Durban, because they don't. And I'm really just pointing out an observation that your program has a tendency and a leaning towards private bank and wealth partners, as opposed to mass market. Yes, the ShopRites and discounts are there, but in terms of travel, so what I would do is categorize each spend type and make sure that there's a solution to match all your account holders, because I think on the travel side, the lower LSM guys are getting short-changed. They just buy airtime.
Guys, so you want to join our innovation team? Thanks for the question. Okay, so the really good news is that in terms of pooling your eBucks, you are welcome not only to bring in your wife's eBucks, but you can bring in the family's eBucks, the friend's eBucks. Whoever wants to pool together is welcome to pool their eBucks together. So I think a really awesome benefit. If you're sharing a commune and it's time to get that all-important wear before the summer brise, and puol your eBucks and off you go. In terms of the relevance for across our segments, I think Jacques made a really valid point when he said we always need to consider obviously the generosity and the relevance, but also the simplicity. So when we had a look at, for example, our lower LSMs, we actually do have a program in place for them. And as Maya quite rightly pointed out, the feeling was that we had to keep it really simple for these markets. And that's why for our smart customers, we haven't introduced the eBucks, but we have introduced airtime as their rewards currency. And it's quite nice because whether you purchase airtime from the bank or whether you go to ShopRite Checkers, you earn that all-important R5 back for every R100 that you do spend. And customers really love that because that airtime is something real that stretches their wallet at the end of the month. And I think, again, you're obviously welcome to join the eBucks program if you want to as a smart customer. I mean, nothing is really holding you back. But I think we've just found practically that by making it really simple, that doesn't mean to say that we are never going to put in more spend opportunities for these customers. As we speak, actually, at the moment, we are working on something that would give them an alternate spend opportunity. And I think also in terms of the partners that we're choosing, we know that a ShopRite is making a huge difference in these customers' lives. So definitely we are always on a journey, but we've also sometimes seen by slowly adding it for a market that's not necessarily comfortable with the concept yet, knowing that there's absolutely no reason why ultimately they won't be as savvy as some of our higher end customers.
So I think generally we think transport is a big space to innovate into. So we started with fuel rewards and things like that. And I think, you know, sometimes we confuse what travel means, and let's call it the treatment travels. And not even, you know, even gold, platinum, premium customers don't travel that much. They live, or now they use eBucks for day-to-day activity. So there's obviously, you know, that sort of treat yourself dream. And you always, in marketing, one always creates that brand, you know, the treat dream pieces. But we know that people use things for day-to-day activity. And for us, it's relevant to make sure that if we give you a reward today for a specific benefit or behavior you did, that you can as quickly as possible experience that benefit. So you can celebrate, you can recognize, you can enjoy it. Okay, so then the trick for us is how do we enhance technology, specifically around the capabilities around card-based and non-card-based, mobile-based payments activities in the solutions around transport. So we think that is absolutely a category that over time, as we get better technology that can enable those sort of enhanced that experiences, that we can actually start building in programs into it. It would be awesome if we could start getting our country into the transit, you know, capabilities from bus, taxi, through to trains and all of those linkages. So as banks, you know, in our country, we've invested a lot of money over time in these solutions, but we haven't been able to get the technology enablement right yet for those markets to get that payment behavior right. However, what I do think is that the way in which we've built up our ecosystem around wallet payments and how those e-wallets are starting to pay out has got some real legs. Because often what happens is we have an aspiration to provide something, but there's no tool which you can use to actually make it happen. Because if the taxi owners wants cash, then I can't necessarily introduce a measure that I can use that as a benefit, because I don't know what people spend their cash on. But as soon as technology allows the electronic transactions to be measured, we can absolutely expand the programs into those categories. So there's not a problem with an aspiration. It's more a problem about how do we execute it. And we absolutely understand the drivers. There's not a problem with understanding the drivers. And also what we've tried to do is, while we don't have those, let's call it perfect systems yet, we are driven around how do we make things meaningful and in real life today. You know, otherwise you launch something that two people can use and then it's not relevant.
I think you should start really getting worried is when your spouse is earning 10 times more eBucks than you do. Then you can start.
She uses it all for herself.
Well, yeah, exactly. Right, now let's go back to our Hangouts. We've got a question from one of the Hangouts. Thank you for joining us. By the way, this is a live stream for those of you watching us. Nice to have you. Thank you for staying with us.
I've got a question from Penny Hall from Business Day.
Hello, Penny.
She's asking what is the difference between SA Voyager program and eBucks Travel in terms of expiry of rewards?
Oh, that's a nice one. Difference between the two?
All right, so I think one of the main differences are that on an eBucks travel offering, you can travel on any airline. If that seat is available, you can book it. There's no restriction, you know, it's not like certain seats are restricted for loyalty usage. Whether you want to fly on any airplane, if that seat is available, you can book it straight away. In the case of eBucks, eBucks don't expire. So again, we find that a lot of these customers end up saving up for that really dream holiday and then really go away with the family and everybody else in terms of accessing it. Again, with eBucks Travel, you've got the opportunity to get your flights discounted. If you fly on Emirates and Kulula, where you can get up to 40% discount. And also on your car rental. If you take Avis car rental, you can get up to 40% off. So, I mean, some really great value in that. But both have been really long-standing programs. Both have been in the South African market for a really long time.
I know a couple of people who've applied that 40% discount on Emirates and they've paid like next to nothing for their flights. It's amazing. Look at them and how do you do it? I want to get to that level. I'm going to get to that level. I'm looking around the room. Any other questions? Another question? Yes, sir.
If I was an entrepreneur and I wanted to use the eBucks program, what value is there and what kind of transactions would you find happening with your commercial card? When businesses earn eBucks, what are they spending the spend on? Maybe because I write for entrepreneurs, don't you know?
Okay, so for entrepreneurs, that's a great question. How can entrepreneurs better utilize eBucks to use them in their own businesses? Who wants to take this one?
I don't mind. So one of the exciting things we were very excited about over the last 2 years, remember there was a time where the whole entire eBucks program only spoke to consumers in your personal life. So about 2.5 years ago, we flicked the switch. And actually we were a bit disappointed in ourselves. It took us 10 years to get it into business, but we've switched it on for the business segment. We started at the bottom end of the business segment, and we're stretching it up in as far as we can go up. Clearly, the dynamics at the bottom end, where the entrepreneur is in charge of life, is a little bit different than when it becomes a corporate, and you've got a corporate, compliance, or who can do what with what, and who do you reward for what. So those games are a little bit different. But in the entrepreneurial space, at the bottom in small business type market, we have a very exciting way of earning. Clearly also, as again, linked back to what are the business drivers and how can we justify the generosity. But then once you have your eBucks, you can use it on everything from, paying for electricity to buying airtime and paying for the Christmas party and coffee and tea machines. And so life is, you can, teams can know there's a coffee machine that, eBucks, we got through eBucks. So travel, the same pieces apply. So we don't have restrictions, which makes this a very exciting program. And what we've also done is over time start introducing business type solutions. Like, could we enhance your business? So you could even buy furniture. Now consumers wouldn't buy furniture, but business furniture and things like that would absolutely be relevant for an entrepreneur. So those type of things, but we'll expand that range, and slowly it's building momentum.
I just want to add to that.
Yes.
The wine it was huge for me until you changed your point system.
Oh.
But that was
Okay.
small business.
Yeah, the free Wi-Fi, a great one. Maybe this is a bit of a daft question, but you're seeing how much money, how many eBucks people are earning, and the rate at which it's happening right now. I mean, you're talking about the next billion coming in very soon. How do rewards impact SARS, for example, and your tax, for example? Because, I'm just trying to think SARS, thinking, oh, there's all these rewards, you're doing this, you obviously can't claim for certain things, but, what are the tax implications of SARS from the personal point of view and a business point of view? I don't know who wants to take this one on.
All right. So obviously, I think in terms of VAT and those type of transactions, if any transactions flow through the eBucks environment, VAT is being paid on those transactions. As it stands today, rewards aren't taxable, but we do obviously say in the case of businesses, please do check with your tax advisor, and please ensure that you do follow, the law that's been put down in terms of it.
All right, well, that's great news, and I think a big round of applause, team at eBucks. What an amazing, amazing milestone. I think 5 billion rands worth of rewards, and that's rands. They're not eBucks, rands, because the ratio is 10 to 1, so it's 50 billion eBucks, which is a lot of money and great rewards, and it's amazing the impact that these eBucks have had on their lives. So, Jacques, thank you so much for joining us. Yolandi, thank you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. To those of you who have been on the live stream this morning, thank you for joining us, and we hope to celebrate the next milestone in the next year. At this rate, you guys are going at a pretty fast rate. So that's it from the Slow Lounge in Johannesburg. This has been the eBucks milestone announcement. 15 years. Happy birthday, eBucks. 5 billion rands worth of rewards have been paid out. Thank you for joining us this morning.